Wife wanted to work in a restaurant, so I let her. I regret it. Part 2. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you won't miss another cheating story goes live. I was also shocked that she had been involved with him for 6 months without me knowing. They apparently had been having sex in his car, the restaurant, hotels, his house, our home when nobody was there, etc. It was a real betrayal, and I was deeply hurt. But I thought about what I would do and maintained my perspective and composure. What followed was several weeks of tears, sadness, cajoling, and really just a whole lot of crap. My family, and especially my dad, was furious and began saying terrible things about her. My wife's side of the family was also upset with the situation, but did not display the same level of animosity and bitterness that my side did. I actually had to intervene with my father and ask him to stop with the vitriolic insults against my wife. She was still the mother of his son's children and he needed to show her respect as a grandfather. My father actually agreed and commended me on my approach to this whole situation. I told him that I did not believe there was any benefit for me by seeking revenge on my soon-to-be ex-wife. She was the mother of my children, and I would need to have an amicable relationship with her for the sake of our kids. Do not get me wrong. I would have loved to be in SA but thought long and hard about it. I think that I made the correct choice and in retrospect would have done the same thing. As I said, it was a rough couple of weeks, but she did move out and into an apartment with this guy. She did see her children and tried to be active in their lives. I also felt terrible for the wife of this guy, and she was mortified by what had taken place. She did leave the restaurant to get another job and filed for divorce. I would see her in the local grocery store on occasion and always wished her well. She was originally from Pennsylvania and eventually moved back to her home. I understand she did get remarried to a solid man and now has a good life and children. I wish her only the best. There is no question in my mind that her splitting with this guy is the best thing that ever happened to her. The divorce itself went smoothly. She did get some money out of me due to the division of assets. I did agree to pay some alimony support for a short period of time, which I think ended at 6 months. To me it was a cheap way to get out of the situation. In fact, I probably would have agreed to any financial demand she would have made in order to be done with the situation. I was retained as the primary custodial parent, and she had 50-50 visitation. I told her that she was always free to stop and see her children. She did do that on many occasions and things appeared to be somewhat stable. I also think she liked to see me when she came to visit the kids, but maybe that was wishful thinking on my part. My wife did not make a lot of money, but did make a small child support payment each month. To her credit, she did her best and never missed a payment when it came to her children. In retrospect, there is no doubt in my mind that my wife was going through some type of personal crisis due to the miscarriage and the aftermath of it. I am not some great prize, but there is no way my wife in her right mind would have done what she did. But I was powerless and there was not much I could do. The day we signed the divorce papers to make it final was surreal. Things had been amicable, but it was still tough. We met at her attorney's office, and it was a sad affair for me. I was saddened that she seemed so happy about the situation, and she was there with her dirtbag boyfriend. She almost seemed giddy about it, which really shocked me. We had been together for many years and had a family together. This was the only time I ever felt like she disrespected me during the whole divorce, but I let it roll off because there was nothing left to prove. The marriage was over, and we needed to move forward. When I signed the papers, I did see some regret in her eyes. I do think she had a look of shock on her face since I remembered what I said to her. I had thought about it and had already decided what I was going to say. I must admit that I am proud of what I said and how well it came off. I am not an actor, but on this day, I did have a flair for the dramatic. I had written it down and practiced it until I had it down, and this is what I said. I am of course sad about this. I thought we had a good life and were a good team. I apologize to you, if you think I failed you, because I was not able to bring you the happiness you wanted and you thought somebody else would give you a better chance at happiness. I do think the miscarriage had a lot more to do with this than we realize. When tragedies take place, people either get closer and stronger or there is separation and loss. I am sad and find it ironic that what should have been a happy experience for us is what destroyed us in the end. But, that is in the past now. I want you to have a happy life and we can work together to give our kids the happiest and most stable life we can. The room was quiet when I said this. Her face looked stark white and I did see regret in her eyes. With that, I got up, shook her hand, wished her well, said goodbye, and her attorney told me he would send me a copy of the papers. Things went okay at first. She was living with this guy, but within several months, chinks began to appear in their relationship. He apparently drank too much, was pretty much shiftless, lived off his family, and really was not much of a man. He also apparently had a wandering eye and was already lining up his next conquest. She was apparently a younger girl who worked in another restaurant, which was also owned by his father. Of interest is that I continued to order food from the original establishment. The owner would always greet me when I came in for my order and always had a look of embarrassment on his face. I would never stay in the place because that would have been awkward. My ex-wife was working there and was living with his son. If you toss in that he deserted his wife also, the owner was not pleased. He was a family man and told me once that he did not understand where he went wrong with his son. Of course, and to no surprise, things began to go downhill with this new exciting power couple. They were fighting all of the time and things were not going well for my ex-wife. I think my ex-wife was seeing that perhaps I was not that bad of an option and things are not always greener on the other side. With me she had a solid man who put her and the kids first. I was a good husband and perhaps she had made a really poor decision. She did call me several times to lament about her life, but I told her that I was not the person to talk with about this. She answered that I had been her best friend and she could always talk to me. I told her that had been true, but things had changed, and I did not feel comfortable being part of the discussion and she needed to work things out on her own with her new partner. I did not want to be involved in her relationships. She did agree, but I think that I could sense some hurt and regret in her voice when she hung up after I told her this. One night she had the kids over at her apartment with her dirtbag boyfriend to have a sleepover and watch some movies. That evening I had an upset call from her. Apparently, this guy had drunk too much and was frustrated that the kids did not want to watch one of his shows. I am not sure what the show was, but the kids apparently had no interest. So, he got mad and slapped my youngest daughter because he thought she was being snotty. This was a hard slap and left a mark on her cheek. So, I got a call and went right over there. My first inclination was to call the cops and maybe I should have. But, I did go over there to get my kids. I took my kids and left. I told him that if I heard anything else from him about this, my next call would be to the cops and then he would have real trouble. I do admit that I got some pleasure out of telling my ex-wife, and so this is what you left me for? ? She did not say anything but did hang her head. I think she was ashamed of what had taken place. I am not sure if that meant she regretted the divorce, but I do think she realized what she had done and was regretful. Lo and behold, later that night I got a knock at the door and there she was sobbing and was very upset. I did let her come in and she told me that she had broken up with her boyfriend and wanted to come home. Now, I thought long and hard for several minutes and told her that I loved her, and we had history, but I could not do that. With everything that had taken place, I did not think it was a good idea for her to come back and there were just too many sad memories. I would never have left the mother of my children alone on the street. She did come in and she did call her parents. I took her there to stay. There are more to come. Find out the update of this story, check our channel or the description. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for any future cheating stories.